There are many people who believe that professional footballers live above the law. When they get into trouble with the law, they seem to get away with it without barely a slap on the wrist. But that isn't necessarily the case, as there are many who had to serve their time. Ronaldinho. He's one of the most instantly recognizable faces in football, but the Brazilian found himself locked up and having kickabouts with criminals. Ronaldinho is widely accepted as one of the best footballers who have ever graced the game, having lit up pitches across the world in the colors of Barcelona, Brazil, and AC Milan, among others. However, despite scaling the heights of football and enjoying all the associated riches, his personal situation has deteriorated rapidly in the past year, and he found himself behind bars in a Paraguayan prison in March. He spent 32 days inside before being released on bail. Ronaldinho was detained in a prison in Paraguay for the alleged use of a fake Paraguayan passport. He was being held in the country's maximum security Agrupación Especializada prison. The World Cup winner was arrested along with his brother Roberto at the beginning of March on his arrival to Asunción, Paraguay's capital city. Both were subsequently in prison. A statement from Paraguay's Ministry of the Interior explained, the Attorney General's office issued a warrant for their arrest, charged the player Ronaldinho with using a public document with false content, and requested preventative detention. Ronaldinho, whose Brazilian and Spanish passports had already been seized by Brazil's authorities in 2019 relating to separate legal issues, claimed that the Paraguayan passport was given to him as a gift from a local sponsor. He said that he made an innocent mistake in using it, maintaining that he was not aware of the wrongdoing. That line of argument was also expressed by the star's legal counsel, who went further by somewhat cuttingly describing his client as an idiot. However, Paraguayan authorities have not agreed with their analysis of the situation, hence his incarceration. He is now serving the time in the same penitentiary as convicted murderers, thieves, and other high-security inmates, though is being kept in a different part of the facility. Cantona. The former Manchester United striker Eric Cantona was arrested and cautioned for common assault following an incident in North London in 2014. Even in retirement, the mercurial Frenchman has never been far from controversy. From mooted bids for the French presidency to roles in award-winning movies, his post-football career has been as eventful as his time at Leeds United and Manchester United. In January 1995, Cantona was infamously convicted of assaulting Crystal Palace fan Matthew Simmons, launching a kung fu kick over the advertising hoardings at Selhurst Park. Cantona had been sent off, and Simmons had been shouting abuse at the Frenchman. He was initially sentenced to 2 weeks in prison, which was later reduced to 120 hours of community service. The Football Association banned him for 8 months and fined Cantona £10,000. After Sir Alex Ferguson had persuaded him to stay at the club, later making him captain, he went on to finish his Manchester United career with 4 Premier League titles in 5 seasons and has won the double twice. In 2011, Cantona told the BBC that while the kung fu kick had been a mistake, he looked back on it with a certain fondness. When I did the kung fu kick on the hooligan, because these kinds of people don't have to be at the game, it's like a dream for some. You know, sometimes to kick these kinds of people, he said. So I did it for the fans, so they're happy. It's a kind of freedom for them. Cantona, who took on a role as director of football for the revived New York Cosmos in 2011, said then that he preferred not to dwell on the past. I don't care about the past. It was a great memory, but I don't want to think about it. I want to look forward, he said. You can feel very quickly as a prisoner of your past, of the memories. I prefer to be free and think about tomorrow. At a press conference following his appeal against his jail term in 1995, Cantona famously said, "When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea." Benjamin Mendy. Mendy, 27, is charged with 4 counts of rape and 1 of sexual assault. The £52 million Friends International appeared at Chester Crown Court for a preliminary hearing before the Recorder of Chester, Stephen Everett. Mendy, dressed in a cream jumper and cream leisure trousers, sat in the glass-paneled dock with his arms folded as he followed the hearing with the help of an interpreter. He spoke only to confirm his name to the clerk of the court during the 45-minute hearing. Mendy had been brought to prison in a security van and hid his head between his legs to try to prevent photographers from getting a picture of him. The 5 charges against him relate to 3 people aged over 16 and are alleged to have taken place between October of last year and August of this year at his home in Prestbury, Cheshire. He is charged with 3 counts of rape against 1 alleged victim in October, 1 charge of sexual touching against the 2nd alleged victim in January, and 1 charge of rape against the 3rd alleged victim in August. Mendy appeared alongside Louisa Matari, 40, who is charged with 4 counts of rape relating to 3 complainants over the age of 16 between April and August. Matari, of Eccles, Greater Manchester, was described as a runner for Mendy when he made his first court appearance. The hearing dealt with administrative matters, and Recorder Everett fixed a trial date for January 24th. Eleanor Loss QC, representing Mendy, said she would be making an application to dismiss the charges against the footballer. The date was fixed for November 15, when there will also be a pre-trial preparation hearing. The judge told both defendants they would be remanded in custody until the next hearing. Mendy, who joined City in 2017 from Monaco, earns about £100,000 a week. Since joining the Blues, he has won the Premier League 3 times, 2 League Cups, and the Community Shield, despite making just 50 appearances for the club. Ian Wright. The former Arsenal star enjoyed a stellar career at the top of the English game, winning several major honours and retiring as the club's record goal scorer before a certain Thierry Henry eclipsed his record. Wright's rise from non-league football to the pinnacle of the sport is a feel-good story, but it could all have been so different for the popular forward after finding himself in hot water during his younger years. Wright's adversity to reach the top included a deprived childhood and abusive stepfather, but it was a spell in prison which really changed his outlook on life, an experience he says made him a different person and inspired him towards the right path. At just 19 years old, Wright was sentenced to 2 weeks in Kempsford prison for deciding not to pay driving fines and used the experience as motivation to never return and make it in the game. He later became one of the most prolific goal scorers in Premier League history, in addition to earning 33 caps for the senior England side. Before moving on to the next point, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any more football-related videos. Adam Johnson. The former England footballer Adam Johnson has been jailed for 6 years for sexually assaulting a 15-year-old schoolgirl in a calculated, considered, and carefully orchestrated abuse of his celebrity status. Johnson, 28, showed no emotion as he was in prison for kissing and sexually touching the teenage girl, whom prosecutors said he groomed in a single-minded pursuit of his own sexual gratification. Johnson, who had been stripped of his 12 England caps, admitted kissing and grooming the besotted fan on the first day of his trial and was later found guilty of a more serious child sexual assault. Sentencing him, the judge, Jonathan Rose, said he had abused his position of trust with a girl 12 years his junior in a way that caused her severe psychological harm. It can now be disclosed that Johnson was also arrested for possessing extreme pornography, believed to be a bestiality video, on his laptop after the judge lifted reporting restrictions. Johnson was arrested for possessing the video after detectives searched his laptop following his arrest over child sex offenses on the 2nd of March 2015. Police are understood to have told Johnson he will face no further action over the video, which is said to have been jokey in nature. In an impact statement read to the court, Johnson's victim said she had entered many dark places since she reported the assaults to the police after confiding in her parents. Even after Johnson was found guilty earlier this month, she said she had still been bullied at school, causing her to miss classes and her schoolwork to suffer massively. The whole experience has been very overwhelming, and throughout the process, I've had many hard times. I've always felt at risk of being recognized when I go to places, and on some occasions this has happened, she said. I have felt very intimidated by it all, and I have felt very lonely at times when I felt everyone is against me due to Adam Johnson protesting his innocence and continuing to put himself in the public eye, and ultimately it was like I was being taunted, as if to say he could do what he wants and get away with it. In a separate victim impact statement, the girl's mother said her family had endured heartache, criticism, and slanderous remarks, and that she felt powerless to protect her daughter, whom she said had been subjected to thousands of malicious remarks and some disturbing threats of violence made towards her. Johnson had denied all 4 allegations until the first day of his trial, when he pleaded guilty to 1 count of grooming and 1 count of kissing the schoolgirl. He continued to deny that he did anything other than kiss the teenager and disputed her 2 allegations of sexual offenses. But on 2nd of March, he was found guilty by a majority verdict of carrying out a sex act on her in his black Range Rover behind a Chinese takeaway in County Durham on 30th of January 2015. Chewing gum in the dock, Johnson was told he would be on the sex offender register for the rest of his life and undertake treatment for what one psychologist described as his hypersexual disorder. His parents, Sonia and Dave, showed no emotion as he was jailed for 6 years. He was also ordered to pay £50,000 towards the prosecution's fees, amounting to less than a month's pay on his now terminated Sunderland Football Club contract. Sentencing Johnson, Rose told a former Sunderland and Manchester City winger that he took advantage of a young teenager's adoration of a successful celebrity. However, according to reports, Adam has now been released and is leading a lavish life. That's all we have for you guys in today's video. If you want to know more about the football stars and their lives, do click on one of these videos on your screen. See you guys there.